Hello and welcome to Gabbett Media. I'm Grant Abbott and you're watching animation number 14, which was Sport. I really enjoyed this one and you can see the results here. I worked quite hard on it as well. I really sort of spent a lot of time getting those minute details in. There was a long way to go still. I still didn't quite finish, I would say, but it got there and I'm pleased. I'll show you renders and things at the end. It's fairly long, this one. I'd say it's about sort of a 10-minute time lapse. This is 2000%, so this took about 3 hours solid recording time with lots of breaks and things, and just sort of researching things in between as well. And there was a few things I did have to research. I had to just check that I understood the way to do sort of that parenting, what's it called, child of, where you're holding objects. So it's important in games design, you want to hold swords or axes or whatever they are, or shields even. You need to make them a child of one of the bones in your armature. And it's fairly straightforward, to be honest. And there's a little slider at the bottom that allows you the influence. So if you need to release something, like the ball in this case, you just slide that influence across. And it was fairly straightforward. The one bit I was thinking, how is this going to work when he releases the ball into the air? And so it's following this motion and then it's released. And how is that going to work? But I just sort of did it one frame and then the next frame, put the influence completely off and put it in the same position. I'm not sure if that's the correct way to do it, but it seemed to work. You can see me fiddling about with it here, but I wasn't. I was sort of waiting until I had the hand in exactly the right place before deciding on when I was going to release and things. And that was going to. I did it just to test to start with, and then I sort of waited until everything was precise. And that's a long way right to the very end, in fact, because I didn't want to have problems even if I did that sort of follow through. And sort of, it's not called follow through, it's called something else when your sort of hand follows through, as I call it anyway. But that's going to interrupt the ball toss, as it's called. So I thought I'd wait right to the last minute, then do the ball separately after doing the character, and that worked for me, I think. I really wanted to try that out because I'd sort of been nervous of doing anything like swords and things. I would have liked to have done it for the fight, but I knew that was going to be a tough one. And I thought I don't want anything extra just in case it's more complicated than I think, and often these things are. But I have seen it before and I've seen it working, and I thought it looks fairly straightforward, so I should be okay. And it wasn't too bad, so that's good. So the usual thing, blocking out, and then and this time I used a reference. I had Roger Federers serve this time, and I was sort of blocking out that, and I had it in slow motion. But annoyingly, the clip I had was very short, so the landing wasn't there, so I had to make up the landing, and that took me a while actually, because it looked quite realistic to start with, and then it starts looking less realistic as it goes towards the end. But I didn't want to have it just stop, because animation's kind of, it just seems a shame when they do a bit and then they just stop out of nowhere. You want them to stop when it's comfortable to stop, if that makes sense. Obviously the video I was watching was a sort of training tool, I think, and it didn't show the Federers' feet either, so that was a bit annoying. So I had to sort of do some calculations as to what that might be. It worked out in the end. Now the interesting thing I found, and you can see that I'm just getting the timings right, and that took quite a while actually. So it blocked out, got the timings, and then I thought, right, I'm going to really try and exaggerate this and make it more cartoony. And interestingly, it just seemed to make it more realistic. So I was thinking, right, he's really going to arch the back this time. Really going to sort of, as he swipes forward, he's going to cave in, and there's going to be a concave and a convex sort of movement of the body, and make him jump higher than normal. And all these things ended up making it look more real than the actual footage that I was referencing. So it was all very strange, and that got me thinking that the exaggeration aspect of the 12 principles is more important than you think. I thought it was just more cartoony, so the wind up, as it's called, and then the exaggerating movements. I tried to overemphasize those, and the more I overemphasized them, the better the animation just looked in terms of realistic. So those principles aren't just for cartoony animations, is what I'm trying to say. Those principles, which are in the Animators Survival Kit, links in the description for that book, It's a go-to book for animators, blah blah blah, as I keep saying in these videos. But it's surprising that those principles aren't. You think just following a reference, it should look realistic, but actually I followed the reference, then exaggerated it, and and it just looked that bit better and more real. So surprised me, that one did. Very interesting. And I was really getting into this. Usually I take about I suppose it's about 20 minutes minimum, and then take a break. But on the last bit of this, I was well over an hour just fiddling about, tinkering away. And that often happens when I'm sculpting, but not so much when I'm animating, probably because I'm still relatively new and still learning. So you get sort of a bit more, not frustrated isn't the word, but sort of agitated and not sure of yourself. So you can't tinker with the same fluidity. And then you can really relax into your tinkering. I find when I'm sculpting, because I'm sort of more relaxed. But in this, I was starting to get relaxed. The final one, this is, and finally I'm starting to relax into it. Starting to get the idea of curves as well. It just seemed very, maybe I am getting better. And I just thought now's the time to go to the curve editor and fiddle about with that. And now's the time to go back and so forth. And it just all felt comfortable this time. And I felt like I knew what I was doing. Even when I went off the reference, it did take a lot longer, and tried to get that end bit working. Just sort of blocked out some keyframes and then filled the in-between bits. Thought about the weight and body mechanics type of stuff. Not to say that this is still far from perfect, of course, but I do feel like it's more fluid. It's got a bit more realism to it, but also that sort of exaggeration as well. So I'm very pleased with how this turned out. I feel like it's a good one for a last animation. I didn't go overboard. It's only 80 frames, so that's my bit of advice for anybody who's still got to do this one. Be careful not to overdo it. There's lots you could do with sports. There's lots you could do with the fight one as well, and lots of people really going for it with their animations and doing lots of detailed scenes. But for me, it's just keeping it simple and keeping it so that you can. I mean, to be fair, actually, it's good to do those sort of scenes as well, but know that you're not going to get the same detail that you are if you spend more time on an 80 frame rather than a 1000 frame animation or whatever it might be. I just keep getting glimpses of myself in the because I set up my mobile phone. It's attached to my GoPro, and I've noticed that this bit of me looks very grey in the lighting that I've got here, and it's very disturbing to look at. So I'm getting more and more grey. It must be this animation. It's taking its toll. I think it might be teaching that's taking its toll, actually. But anyway, a slight aside there, as I like to do with these things. I do like to babble, don't I? I suppose the other thing to talk about is how getting the wrist movement correct was far more important now. Now he had a racket in his hand, and it's going to be if you've got swords and things in your hand. Oh, there we go. So finished off there. But so that sort of swing and follow through was far more important, and I think that was a bit too quick for that one. Some of your animations look brilliant. I love that one. Absolutely brilliant. Do put your name on them, although it's a bit late now. I've got one more to do. I'll do a sort of roundup one where I show people's last sort of ones, and I'll sort of round up the whole competition and of course say who won the prize. But some really great stuff coming across here. There's a few sort of interested. Sorry, I managed to miss people on a few previous ones, so I'm trying to get those working now. There's some sound with some of these as well, so you've got me talking over what's going on. This one, Lord Diego, doing some great stuff. Sorry I missed you out on the last one. For some reason I download them and I think they're all in date order, but they disappear around my downloads folder. This one was good fun. They're just really well done. Really well done. Lovely to see. Mark Herman doing some. Now he's one for epic scenes, and he hasn't disappointed us here with the bell. It's just all happening, isn't it? Great stuff. And it's for a big scene. It's pretty good. I mean, there's more to be done as always, but for a big scene that was pretty smooth. So well done. I like this one with the long beard that's drawn in with grease pencil. Sean Fernie doing amazing stuff again. Oh dear, my phone's going off. and just brilliant ideas, and the fluidity of some of these animations is brilliant. I love this this dog one, and I love the way he's holding, or he or she is holding the teddy bear thing or whatever it is. That's just brilliant. I missed this one out as well, one from Andrew. That superhero one was superb, well done again. Another one from Lord Diego, I think this is again, doing his doing his thing, and it's just so big and epic. It's all happening. You must be spending hours and hours. Was it you who was talking about that you didn't have any sleep one night? I can't remember what the people have been telling me lots of different things. So very committed. I love to see it. Although I do get a bit worried that people are overdoing it. But I suppose we've only got a few days left. So if you made it through this far, then you're obviously doing well, and you're keeping ahead of yourself. Lovely work. Like this one as well. Who is this one? Can't see. Can't see on my screen. But probably went off the green screen there and disappeared. But this one was quite clever for interested. I feel like there's a story behind this one. I did read something about it, but I can't remember. I'm dreadful for remembering what people have said about their stuff. Sorry about that. Another great work from Kevin. I like the arm getting chopped off and then using it to slap the guy's face. Brilliant thinking. And we got a few from Facebook as well. The whole boxing ring there. The fall was a little bit jaggedy. Check your curves on that one. But very nice. I like this for interested. I like the way it lit up. Another one from Andrew there. It's a bit blurry on Facebook. I couldn't find your Discord server one. But it still looks great. It's a bit of motion blur they look like as well, so must have been using cycles to render. Unless, I don't know, Evie may have introduced motion blur whilst I haven't been looking. That one had sound, but I couldn't capture the sound, unfortunately. It was a good one. And I like this one as well. I like that angle just there. Oh yes, I love a good camera angle. That's the next thing to do, isn't it, with your animations, is to think about the way it's filmed, not just the animation itself. And that's quite fun in itself. I like this one. Well done, Steve, doing some fun stuff as well. That slap fighting was a good idea. So there we have it. Sports, I have finished, but I hope you're still enjoying it, still having fun. And I will probably release another video probably around Sunday. So you've got until Sunday, let's say, Sunday morning for me, which is British summertime at the moment. Doesn't feel like summertime outside at times. Anyway, I'm babbling now. Happy animating, and I will see you next time.